Now let's go ahead and talk about hooks and filters. In WordPress, hooks are functions that allow developers to modify or extend the core functionality of WordPress without directly modifying the core files. These enable you to add or change behavior in themes and plugins. They are essential for theme and plugin development. Hooks are specific points in the code execution where developers can hook custom functions to modify or add functionality, while actions are a type of hook that allow you to execute a function at a particular point in the WordPress process. Essentially, this allows you to perform an action without returning any data to be modified further. Actions are events that trigger custom code at a specific time within the WordPress system. There are two types of hooks, actions and filters. Actions do something at a specific point, while filters will modify a value and return it. For example, with an action, you could add information to a post before it is saved. With a filter, you can change the format of the date on every blog post. You will see that we commonly use actions and filters to extend our WordPress code and be able to customize the website in all sorts of different ways. Just keep in mind that actions are used to execute custom code at a specific point in the WordPress execution flow, while filters are used to modify existing data before it is displayed or saved, essentially allowing you to change the value of something before it's used elsewhere in the system. Actions perform an action without necessarily returning a value, while filters return a modified value after processing data. An action hook will allow you to execute a function at a specific point, such as when a post is published or when a page loads. A filter hook allows you to modify data before it is displayed or saved, such as changing the content of a post or modifying an excerpt. Important things to remember are that actions are used to run custom functions at specific points in WordPress. You do not modify data directly with an action, they simply perform that action. If you wanted to send an email notification when a new post is published, that's an example of an action. Filters are used to modify data before it is displayed or saved. You can receive data as input, modify it, and then return the modified data. An example would be changing the format of a date before it is displayed on a page. An example of an action hook is the add action function. This is used to hook a custom function to an action hook. An example of a filter is the add filter function. This is used to hook a custom function to a filter hook. You can think of hooks in WordPress like sticky notes that you leave for WordPress telling it, hey, when you get to this part of the page or process, do this extra thing. They let you add or change things in WordPress without touching the core code, which keeps your site safe and easier to update. Action hooks are the doers. They do something. They'll let you add a new thing at a specific moment. You could add a custom message to the bottom of every blog post. If you imagine that WordPress is a bakery and it normally makes plain cupcakes, you could use an action hook to say, hey, before you serve the cupcake, add sprinkles. Filter hooks change something. These will let you modify existing content. An example would be changing the post title before showing it. So if we imagine that WordPress is a radio DJ announcing songs, a filter hook lets you say, before you announce the song, add now playing at the beginning. As I've told you, an action hook lets you insert custom functions at specific points into WordPress. These functions do not return values, they simply execute a task. Here are some examples of some commonly used action hooks. We've already used the WP and Q scripts hook to load scripts and style sheets. The init hook will run after WordPress is fully loaded. The WP underscore head hook will add code inside the head of a theme. WP underscore footer will add code before the closing body tag in the theme. And save underscore post will trigger when a post is saved. The filter hooks allow you to modify data before it is displayed or processed. These functions will always return a value. Here are some commonly used filter hooks. The content will modify post content. Excerpt length will change the length of post excerpts. Body class will modify the body class for styling. And WP title will alter the page title. I've created a table to show you the differences between actions and filters. The purpose of an action is to execute a function at a specific point. The purpose of a filter is to modify data before output. An action will never return data, while a filter must return modified data. An example of an action is WP and Q scripts or WP footer. An example of a filter is the content or body class. Hooks are awesome because there's no need to edit WordPress files directly, which is safer for updates. Hooks work with any theme or plugin that supports hooks. Hooks let you customize WordPress in a clean and organized way. Hooks matter in full site editing because they enhance block-based themes without modifying core files. They allow dynamic customization of templates and content. They'll maintain theme flexibility while leveraging WordPress's block system. Full site editing themes rely less on traditional hooks such as WP footer or WP head, but they still use filters and actions for customizing block rendering and queuing assets and modifying theme settings dynamically. Let's take a look at some actual code and see where we can identify the action hooks. Keep in mind that actions allow the developer to run custom code at specific points in the WordPress lifecycle, such as when scripts are loaded or when a post is published. Filters allow developers to modify data before it's displayed or processed. This can be used to modify post content, changing an excerpt length, or filtering the title before output. In this first example, the WP and Q scripts is an example of an action hook. This triggers functions when scripts and styles should be enqueued. In the second example, we're using the same action hook of WP and Q scripts, and we're using it for the same reason. We are not using any filters in these examples because we're not modifying anything in the code before it is displayed. We're simply using the action of add action to hook into the WP and Q scripts. Let me go ahead and show you how we can use the filters to modify content on our website. I'm going to add some additional code to my functions.php file. So in this example, I am creating a function called add emoji to post title. This function will take two parameters. Title is the original title of the post, and ID is the ID of the post. What we're doing here is we're using a conditional statement to check to see if the post type is a post. We are doing this by using getPostTypeID, and this ensures that only blog posts, not pages or custom post types are affected. The next line of code is creating a variable called title, and we're setting the value to include a font awesome icon before the actual title is displayed. Return title is going to return the modified title so that WordPress will display it with the icon. Finally, we're using add filter. This is going to apply the function in order to modify post titles. Add filter will go ahead and use the following parameters. The title is the filter hook that WordPress calls before displaying post titles. The add emoji to post title is the function that modifies the title. 10 is the priority, which is the default value. And 2 is the number of arguments the function accepts. In this case, that is title and ID. If we go ahead and jump into our WordPress website, here's what my blog page currently looks like. So you can see I have several of my posts that are being displayed. If we go ahead and click the refresh button, you can see that the post now starts with the Font Awesome icon. And this is going to be true for all of my posts. In this particular example, the title is a filter hook. WordPress provides the title filter whenever it displays a post title. This allows us to modify the title before it appears on the front end. We are using a custom function to modify the title. The function is going to check to see if the content is a blog post, and then it will prepend with a Font Awesome icon to the actual title. The function returns the modified title. Add filter is what connects the custom function to WordPress. It basically tells WordPress, hey, before you show a post title, run this function first. WordPress applies the function and displays the modified title. From this example, you can see how the title filter is used to modify post titles dynamically. We're applying the function to only blog posts, not to pages, and we're prepending a Font Awesome icon to post titles. Hopefully this gives you an idea of how you can use filters along with functions to modify your WordPress website.